We're going to call this meeting of the Crow Wing County Board of Commissioners to order, January 3rd, 2023. We'll start with roll call. Why don't you stand, please, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. We have first item of business is the oath of office for commissioners. We have the Honorable Judge Eric Eskegard here to help us with the swearing in. And so I think those of you that are eligible to be sworn in, why don't you come down here? And Judge, we'll have you do it right in this section if you would, please. And then we're going to take pictures.
Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Steve Garland,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will faithfully execute and discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
discharge the
of
duties
the office
of the office of County Commissioner in the County of Crow Wing,
Commissioner in Crow Wing County,
State of
State of Minnesota,
according to law and to the best of my ability and understanding,
according to law and best of my understanding.
so help me God.
So help me God. Very much.
Do you have any family pictures you'd like to take?
Yes, I would like to bring my mother and my wife up.
Can I get by the three of you before you, or anyone else sits down? Okay.
My best side is over here.
Totally agree.
For everyone, this is my mother, Helen, 97 years old, and my wife, Lexi.
You're not giving my age, though.
Do you want to take about three of them? One more.
Would you like one of Judge Eskegard?
Yes.
Gotta get the judge, this one, I'll bring the judge in too.
Okay.
He's better.
Okay, here we go. Ready? Here we go. One more. Okay.
Commissioner Lubke?
I would like to bring up my wife Cindy and our mother-in-law Clara Nelson.
Clara, you don't have to give your age.
What did you say?
You don't have to give your age either.
You didn't know what you signed up for, did you, dear?
It's okay.
I did.
Everybody ready?
He's beside himself back there, he's too excited.
Okay, here we go. One more. Okay.
Your Honor, would you mind stepping over? May I approach the bench?
Here we go. Ready? One more. Okay.
Anybody else? Anyone else?
Thank you so much.
you, everyone. Have a good day.
Next item of business is the roll call. Therese, why don't you take the roll?
Commissioner Coring,
Here.
Commissioner Lubke,
Present.
Commissioner Barrows,
Here.
Commissioner Franzine,
Present.
Commissioner Hoag.
Here.
Next item of business is the reorganization of the county board. It's the election of the chair and the vice chair for 2023. I would open nominations from the floor for county board chair for 2023.
Mr. Administrator, I would place Commissioner Franzine, her name in as the chair.
Commissioner Franzine's been nominated. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Second's been made. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to cast a unanimous ballot for Commissioner Franzine as chair for 2023.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Point of order, do we need to do a roll call?
Oh, I'm sorry, we have to do a roll call vote. Thank you. Appreciate it. Therese, if you can call the roll.
Commissioner Lubke,
Aye.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine.
Aye.
I would entertain nominations from the floor for vice chair for 2023.
Mr. Administrator, I would put in a nomination Commissioner Lubke for Vice Chair of the County Board.
Commissioner Lubke's been nominated for vice chair. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Second by Commissioner Franzine. Is there any discussion? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to cast a unanimous ballot for Commissioner Lubke for vice chair for 2023.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Franzen. Therese, if you could call the roll.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine.
Aye.
And we will take just a very brief recess to allow chairs to get moved and people to move around. I think it's just those two. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Congratulations to you. Is there anyone for open forum?
There is, Madam Chair.
Okay, the first thing on the agenda is open forum. We'll have 3-minute time limits, and the first person is Doug Kern.
Doug Kern, Crow Wing Township. I just wanted to say a thank you. I missed the last meeting, and I wanted to say thank you to the commissioners for reviewing the 4 precincts and being as transparent as you possibly can. Even though I still don't trust the Dominion machines or the way that things are done, I want to say thank you for doing that. That just meant a lot to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony Bauer. Next person is Tony Bauer.
Good morning. Tony Bauer, Crow Wing County. To those of you who were elected and re-elected, I wanted to offer my congratulations to you. Wish you success. And on behalf of the people that have been coming before you for over the last year, respectfully requesting transparency and accountability, I just want to let you know that we're not giving up on that endeavor and that we still plan to hold you accountable and expect transparency. So those expectations have not changed. Thank you.
Thank you. Review and approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Hoag. All those in favor?
We need a roll call.
Oh, yes,
No worries, we'll remind you.
Yeah.
every time.
Commissioner Barrows,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke,
Aye.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzen.
Aye. Consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I'll
Madam
make
Chair,
a motion
motion.
to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke,
Aye.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzen.
Aye.
And we can,
Okay, well, we have a public hearing, but that is, it's too early for that. Land Services is going to take longer. County Sheriff, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Greetings, welcome me. That's about it.
All right, thank you. County Attorney?
I don't have anything today other than to welcome Commissioner Lupke, the newest member on the board. Glad to have you here, and congratulations to everyone else who got reelected and sworn in today as well. I certainly can answer any questions that you may have of me.
no question.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, County Administrator.
Madam Chair, members, there was a senior management team meeting on December 27th, and primarily what we're talking about is the difficulties that we're experiencing in recruitment and retention. That's a broken record, because I don't know that you can find an employer who isn't having the same experience right now. But the challenges that that poses for how many positions we're recruiting at any given point in time, and you staff for a certain level of turnover to hire. And when that hiring goes up, you spend more time hiring than you do doing the actual program delivery. And so it's concerning to us that the turnover rates have gotten to where they are. Not sure what we can or should do about that, but getting concerned about those turnover rates. That was the primary discussion that we had at senior management team on the 27th. Happy to answer questions about that or cover the other items under my report. Keep going.
Yep, we've still got 3
Madam
minutes.
Chair, also enclosed in your packet is a request for board action. It is the award of the printing and publishing bid. We are suggesting that you award the 2023 printing and publishing bid to the Brainerd Dispatch. Enclosed in your packet is an analysis of the bids that have been received from both the Brainerd Dispatch, and that's a joint bid with the Crosby Ironton Courier, Pioneer Lakes Echo Journal for the normal legal publications, so they would be published in all 3 publications as part of that combined bid. The Crosby Ironton Courier has submitted a bid for the second publication of the financial statement, and so they are also looking to publish the financial statement. And then the Newshopper has submitted a bid, as has been the case in the past. We have discussions about the differences between free circulation and paid circulation, and in which zip codes that those typically have occurred. We also want to make sure that we're looking at apples to apples, and so we pay attention to which font that the bidders are proposing to use. So the breakout of all of that material is in your packet. I am recommending the Brainerd Dispatch as your legal publication. Happy to answer questions about the bid materials if you have any.
Are there any questions, concerns? Can I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the 2023 printing and publishing bid to the Brainerd Dispatch.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Hoag.
And I just have clarification on the second publication of the financial statement is the Newshopper, is what the
I
recommendation is.
would agree to that
Thank you.
amended motion.
Aye, also.
Okay, motion and a second.
Commissioner Lubke,
Aye.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzen.
Aye.
Would you like to move to the public hearing? Come back to me?
Yes, that would be great.
Very good.
Okay. Going to the public hearing, 9:15 public hearing. enacting the new short-term rental ordinance and repealing the existing short-term rental ordinance.
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to open the public hearing.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Lubke.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye. And who will be speaking on this?
Are there anybody that wishes to speak to the issue of the short-term rental ordinance adoption? Anybody wishing to speak to the short-term rental licensing ordinance adoption? Final call. Anybody wishing to speak to the short-term rental licensing ordinance? Madam Chair, I see no public comments.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to close the public hearing at 9:16.
Is there a second? Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Hoag.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye. Okay.
Mr. Chair, or Madam Chair, while Jake is coming up, the mechanics of this are, you've just held a public hearing on adding short-term rental provisions to your land use ordinance instead of using a public health ordinance. Got no comments on that. You had previously held a public hearing, and you got comments from township officials and any of a number of them that led us to this point where we would take our short-term rental licensing regulations out of the public health realm and put them into the land use realm. What that does is it gets us out of every city in Crow Wing County with our licensing ordinance, and I think that there have been a number of requests for us to do so. We can then contract with municipalities like we do with the Wetland Conservation Act, so that if they only have one or two short-term rentals in their jurisdiction, they could still contract with us to do that, but it would be under contract and using their authority to regulate. And so the mechanics of this are repealing our public health ordinance, putting in place our land use ordinance, and I think I got those reversed. First, put in the land use ordinance provisions, then repeal the public health ordinance in its entirety. I think those are the mechanics. Jake, what else do you have to add?
Well, Madam Chair and members of the board, I think you framed it up pretty good. I can go through a little bit more detail about some of the other changes that are in this ordinance. Tim framed up the big one, which is there wouldn't be any cities and nothing that falls under the outside of our jurisdiction for planning and zoning. So Tim, I presume that would be Irondale and Crow Wing Township as well.
That is correct.
So it's not just the cities, but those two as well. And then the other big thing would be we're revising and reducing the total occupancy to 3 people per bedroom, plus 1 overall, down from 4 plus 1. So that's a significant revision. And then we also are revising it to state that we will not issue a license if an open land use enforcement exists on the property. So that's something new. That if we contract with a city, though, that would not apply to the city. So meaning we wouldn't ask the city if they have any open enforcements before we do it. So that would be just under the county's planning and zoning check on that one. And there's just some other minor revisions related to just tweaking language, making sure it reflects the right statutes and septic language and things like that. So, yeah, there's a lot of background about how we got to where we are, and I think it was very good, robust feedback we got from multiple meetings, multiple inputs. So I think the fact that we didn't have any comments here today, I don't think means that people don't care. I think it's more reflective of the fact that we've vetted this probably pretty good. So with that, I think at this point we're just looking for a motion to consider the resolution to adopt the new short-term rental ordinance at this point.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hoag, a second by Commissioner Barrows. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Teresa will need to call the roll.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
No.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
No. Motion passes. Okay, do you want to go on, Jake, or should I just read it?
Sure. No, it's up to you, Madam Chair, but essentially what we're looking at here is, and I'm not going to give any background on it, but when we have a new ordinance, we're going to need to repeal the old one. So it's really a formality to make sure that the existing number 2002 short-term rental ordinance is immediately repealed. So that's it.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hoag, second by Commissioner Barrows. Any discussion? I hear none.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye. Motion passes.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you.
Okay, Tim.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, or Madam Chair, that's going to take me a while. I'm sorry. I apologize. Madam Chair, enclosed in your packet is also a request for board action. It's a resolution regarding closed meetings, which we pass every year. And because of the last Be It Resolved, we put this on your agenda every year. I think it's really just a way of us telegraphing when we're going to go into closed meetings. In cases of labor negotiations, preliminary consideration of allegations against persons employed by the county, evaluations of the performance of persons subject to the authority of the board, and conferences protected by the attorney-client privileged. We're going to close meetings for those purposes. That's pretty much a recitation of what's in the law regarding closed meetings. And then you may, by motion, request to have specific meetings open. There's nothing really new here. It is really just us telegraphing that this is how we will handle our closed meetings. And it probably gets to Mr. Bauer's point earlier about transparency and accountability.
Madam Chair, I would move the resolution.
Okay, it sounds like I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Barrows. All those in favor?
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye. Go on.
Madam Chair, members, there is also a request for board action in your packet. It is a resolution regarding per meeting rates and meeting expenses. In the comment section of that request for board action, it gives you the history of when we have made changes to that in the past. The resolution as it stands would not make any changes. If you wish to make any, then we would need to modify the resolution. It is put forward for your consideration.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Hoag. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Madam Chair, members of the board, also enclosed in your packet is a request for board action to appoint the 2023 AMC delegate and policy committee appointments. These are annual appointments, and we have historically rotated the two positions. There's 8 delegate positions that we get to the Association of Minnesota Counties. That is relevant only if you're going to conferences where there's actual voting. And so the delegates have always been the county commissioners, of course. The county administrator has taken one of the 8 slots, and then the remaining 2 have been rotated between senior managers within the organization. We've had quite a bit of stability, frankly, among the senior managers, and so I think there's a little bit less interest in rotating right now. And so the administrative services director, the community services director have volunteered to continue as those other 2 delegates. There was no interest expressed by any other senior manager at this time.
All right.
Madam Chair, do you wish to make those appointments?
Yes, I'll make those appointments.
Madam Chair, just to clarify, the AMC Policy Committee appointments are as stands. It was just replacing Commissioner Brecken with Commissioner Lubke.
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair, members, also enclosed in your packet is a request for board action, and it is beginning that, well, it is continuing that citizen committee appointment process. So in your packet is a list of those that were open. If you have any that, on that list that you know are ready to be appointed, you could bring those forward at this time.
Do any of you have you talked to any of your appointments yet?
Madam Chair, on this particular list here, Commissioner Coring and I have spoken, and I would take on the responsibility of the Airport Commission. And I've spoken with Commissioner Lubke about taking from my list the Regional Transportation Coordinating Council and moving that to his list.
Okay.
Madam Chair, on my list, I have the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment has Rick Scogan has served. I would like to replace that with John Ajay from Mission Township.
I think we're on two different lists here.
Yeah, that.
Oh,
and
sorry
that's-
about that.
That's my fault.
We're in the
Madam
county
Chair, we're just
commissioner
talking about the
appointments.
commissioner appointments right now.
Oh,
And
okay.
then immediately after, we'll talk about the citizen committee appointments.
Right.
I wasn't clear. That's my fault.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
as far as Steve and I, or Commissioner Barrows and I did talk, a little history about the airport. I have learned a lot since I've been on there. Normally, it's been the commissioner that is from that district, and the airport is in my district. But that changed when Commissioner Nystrom served, and then Commissioner Teedy wanted to serve. And, when I had a conversation with Commissioner Barrows the other day, probably a good thing that we kind of change it up once in a while so that we can all learn what's happening there. It's our asset out there at the airport. And so probably I'm glad he actually asked me if I was willing to let him serve on there for a while. So best of luck. I think it's a great airport, and just wanted to let you know that. Thank you.
Okay.
And thank you, Commissioner Coring. I appreciate it.
Okay, are there any other changes? I have, the airport committee is going to Commissioner Barrows, and the Transportation Coordination Council is going to Commissioner Lubke.
Correct.
Okay, with those, do I make those appointments?
Madam Chair, yes.
Okay, I will make those appointments with those two changes. Okay, next thing is citizen committee appointments, and I think that's where you were at, John.
Yes. Would you like me to redo that?
Yes,
Madam Chair?
please.
Madam Chair, on the citizens one, as I spoke earlier, on the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment, we have had Rick Scogan serve. I would like that person replaced with a John Ajay from Mission Township. I've already spoke to John. He is willing to serve.
Are there any other changes, or there are some of these that don't have a yes by them yet? Or
I haven't checked with Jerry Gibbons yet.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, well then I will make the appointment of Tom Ajay. Okay. Next is a resolution to encourage Congress to supply resources for the post office.
Madam Chair.
Yes. Commissioner.
Madam Chair, this is kind of obviously, I think a lot of us know what's happening at the post office. This was prompted by myself and Commissioner Brecken of what's happening with mail delivery. I guess I can't speak for up in Crosby. Commissioner Hogue can speak to that, but I know in my district, I'm hearing from quite a few people that they're claiming they've gone like 10, 12 days without any mail delivery whatsoever. And as we all know, senior citizens, a lot of people receive their prescription drugs by mail. So this is kind of a catastrophic deal when you're not getting your medications. I actually heard from one of my townships that was concerned about getting the check, their settlement check in time, because they said that the state auditor would like to have that check gone through the bank before the end of the year. I've talked to people that are running home businesses that are having a hard time getting, sending out invoices, so on and so forth, running their business. And then people that are getting their light bills and their whatever bills they might have becoming, getting it, and it's already past due. So I asked the county administrator to put together a resolution. Obviously, the county board doesn't have any say over the post office. It's a federal issue. And this is certainly nothing against the hardworking people that are working here in Brainerd, Baxter, and so on and so forth. But I think what it is the post office has run a certain way for the last 100 years, and I just don't know if that's working anymore. And so this is to, I guess, kind of alert our congressional delegation that there's some problems here, and the county board is very, very concerned about it. If anybody else wants to comment, but those are my comments. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Well, I will comment. I've been getting calls too, and because I didn't think this was under the county's purview, I contacted both the Brainerd and the Baxter post offices and was just given the information that they're short-staffed. So then I called Representative Stauber's office, and I've gotten 2 calls back from them. They are working on it, and so the process has already been started. I'm not sure that they can, they're short-staffed. I'm not sure what the federal government can do to force people to go to work. But I do want you to know that I took this up on my own without coming here, because we have always said we were going to try to keep in our own lane. And so I just wanted you to know that that's where I went with this. So is there anyone else who wants to comment on this?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I actually think this is our lane, because I feel like when I'm hearing from seniors that are not getting their prescription drugs delivered and they're calling me, I guess I always try to help any of my constituents any way that I possibly can. The county administrator, I think, did a diligent job. He didn't just put together a resolution. He actually tracked down the postmaster. And Tim, I guess I'd like to have you give a brief synopsis of what you found out about their hiring practices, and if you don't mind, would you please?
Madam Chair, members, I did go to both the Brainerd Post Office and the annex, and I did have an opportunity to talk to the local postmaster as well as her immediate assistant. I was in the Brainerd annex and watching the mail getting sorted and delivered. There's clearly nobody standing around twiddling their thumbs. There's clearly nobody just sitting around. Their issue is short-staffed. And so I think that we want to go out of our way to make sure that the local staff realizes that we know they're working as hard as they can work. It is not a question of, they're not working hard enough. Their issue is one of labor. And as I was talking about it earlier under my report related to us, the labor market is particularly challenging right now. I do think the post office has used a historic model that has worked well for them. And that is, you come in with no set hours, no set schedule. You are an intermittent employee for a number of years until they decide, or there is a full-time opening. They have $19 an hour that they're paying, $19.64, I think, to be exact. In this labor market, offering jobs where there is not a set schedule, there is not any kind of, I know when I'm going to work at $19.64 an hour, I kind of think that's probably the problem, is that the post office has not been as adaptable to the changing labor market conditions as they maybe should be. It is a large federal bureaucracy that I suspect moves relatively slowly. And I think that's probably a more accurate description of the issue. And so if you're going to pass a resolution, your call, but if you're going to pass a resolution, I wanted to go out of our way to make sure that we recognize that it's not a local problem. It's a systemic problem. This issue is happening around the state of Minnesota as other post offices are struggling for labor as well. It's not unique to here. I do think that it is incumbent upon the post office and Congress to engage here and to allow some more flexible HR practices at the local level. I'm sure that will drive some additional costs. It is the same thing every employer is experiencing right now. So I tried to go out of my way to make sure we're not trying to poke a stick in the eye of the hardworking folks that are working right now for the Brainerd Post Office at the annex or at the regular post office. It's not their fault.
And I guess that's just all I was trying to bring across with my comments, is that I have talked to them. I know they're working hard. I also, have talked to Representative Stauber's office on 2 occasions. I don't want him to think that I discount what their office is doing, because I know they're trying to.
It's a tough issue.
Madam
because
Chair.
It's important in our
It
community
is.
for the reasons that Commissioner Coring highlighted. It affects commerce, it affects prescription medications. We don't realize how much we're dependent on the Postal Service, but until you don't get it, and then packages don't show up, bills don't show up on time, it's a bad thing.
And that is one thing that I had heard, that they would be working yesterday. And I didn't see who came to the door, but we did get a package yesterday. So I do believe that they're trying their hardest, but there's a lot that could be done.
Madam Chair, I would move the resolution. Yes.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Barrows.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Nay.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Present.
Madam Chair, does the motion carry?
The motion carries.
Thank you. Madam Chair, also enclosed in your packet is a request for board action to appoint court-appointed attorney contracts. We have historically had 4 contracts, 3 of them for CHIPS and children in need of protection and termination of parental rights contracts. We are obligated by law to supply counsel for those who are indigent in those kinds of cases, and I think it's because of the seriousness of those kinds of cases. The government cannot take away your kids without you being represented by capable counsel. And that is, I think, probably as it should be. No matter whether you're poor or whether you're rich, the government is not going to take your kids without you having capable counsel to represent you. The other contract, those are three contracts for that work, and then there is 1 contract for commitment work, including sexually dangerous psychopaths and child support contempt. We have we got just the number of bidders that we have the number of contracts, and so I can't say that I think it was a very competitive environment, but I'm glad that we got the right number of bidders, or we would be short. There is only one change in the people that are going to be doing the contracts. Melanie Doughty decided that she was going to go and work for the Public Defender's Office. She will still be available to take overflow cases for us if all of these attorneys have a conflict of interest, or sometimes one attorney is for a mom, one attorney is for a dad, one attorney might be for, we run out of attorneys sometimes. So Melanie is still available to take overflow cases for us, which I think is a really good thing because she has a lot of experience. We're bringing on Marina Oster, and Marina is an attorney with the Rosenmeyer Law Firm out of Little Falls, and she used to be a law clerk to Judge Malley, who had been assigned as the CHIPS judge for a number, for about a year, 2-year time period. So Marina does have experience in that field, and so I think she should be capable and qualified. This would be our first time contracting with her. I think probably because of everything that's happening in the economy, the bids went up, and I wish that wasn't the case, but wishing ain't going to make it so. So you have the bids in front of you for CHIPS and TPR contracts for Marina Oster, Ray Horton, and Andrew Whipper, and for a commitment and child support contempt contract with Conrad Cragness. I put that forward for your consideration.
Madam Chair, I would make the motion to approve those contracts and authorize the county administrator to sign and execute such.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We have a motion by Commissioner Barrows, a second by Commissioner Hoag.
Commissioner Lubke,
Aye.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine.
Aye.
Madam Chair, members of the board, sorry to take so much of your time today. First meeting of the year, some sundry items, and then we have some unusual items like this one. The next board action is related to the jail health program. You may recall that our current provider, MEND, had filed for bankruptcy and had provided us notice that they would discontinue services effective February 28th. Since that time, we have gotten reports from their existing staff that they had not been getting paid on time. Our concern was that the jail health program could evaporate around us, and we can't incarcerate people without a jail health program. It is inhumane. And so we have to have a jail health program. So we have been taking some measures on an emergency basis to make sure that we continue to have a functioning jail health program. One of them is we have temporarily hired a number of the men's staff and will be continuing to actively recruit that they would come to work for us on a temporary basis. Two, we got agreement from MEND to end our contract early on December 31st, and so they are now out. And so we are making sure that we are trying to retain as much of that staff as we can. We need a temporary contract with someone to provide the medical doctor oversight for the nurses that are working in the jail. And so I have a temporary contract with Essentia to provide that medical oversight. And I think they will do that on a contract basis for an hourly rate for the relatively short term until such time as we can get a formal proposal from them for the long term. So these are short-term options to buy you time so that you can ripen some other options. And then finally, we need a set of medical protocols and procedures. It's really medical guidance from the doctor to the nurses about how to handle repetitive situations that are going to recur again and again and again. They're sort of like standing orders. And so the policies and the procedures need to be reviewed by the medical doctor. Essentia has already done so. And they also need to be reviewed by the nurses, and they are in the process of doing so. And so, Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm asking for you to take the following actions: to approve the personnel actions report, which is attached to your board action. That would authorize the hiring of the folks that we have hired so far. To approve the county administrator entering into a contract with Essentia Health. I need you to know I already have, because it was an emergency. So this is authorizing that action to continue. And to authorize me or my designee to approve and implement the necessary medical policies and procedures required to run a jail health program in a Minnesota jail. I put that forward for your consideration and happy to answer any questions.
Who would be your designee?
It would likely be someone from a health perspective in public health. I'm thinking probably Gina Heyer.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Hoag.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine.
Aye.
That is all I have, Madam Chair. Members, I am happy to answer any questions about that or anything related to county government.
Any questions? Any additional
Madam Chair.
business? Go ahead.
Madam, County Administrator, who will usually remind this, so I guess I'm reminding myself and the county board. I believe, I don't know if the rest of you received, I did get the Minnesota Campaign Finance Board. And Tim, I believe we have to, the county board members have a month to fill in what our if we have any stocks and stuff like that. Is that correct?
There is a conflict of interest form that we have you fill out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're talking about the one that Crow Wing County does or the one, or the reporting to the state.
Nope, I think it's the reporting. I just got it from the campaign finance board, and with our username on there, and you log in, and there's some questions if we have stock in gambling and so on and so forth. I believe we have to fill that out once a year, at least I have. So just letting you know.
Thank you very much. Is there any other additional business? Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner
Second.
Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. All those in favor?
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.